Hi, one of my favorite things to cook with in winter are chestnuts, and I also love rabbit. So today we're actually going to take the chestnuts and braise them with a rabbit. So let's take a look at some of the ingredients we're going to use for this. Well, since rabbits don't have a lot of fat and we want to keep it nice and tender, we're going to be doing two things. First of all, we're going to be roasting and braising this inside the cook and hold oven at 250 degrees. So that low temperature is going to keep it moist. Another thing that we're going to do is have some pancetta in along with the recipe. So our braising liquid is going to be stock and a little bit of apple juice for sweetness and some white wine. But the first thing we've got to do is break down the rabbit. The first thing we're going to do is remove the thighs, which are right here. Basically all we're doing is following right along the backbone. With the thighs removed, we're going to take off the foreshanks on the front of the rabbit right here. And all we're doing is following right along the bone, along the natural muscle. Now what we're going to do is take off the entire loin that runs along the back. There's a loin along both sides of the back, and that's along here. But this is not going to braise because this is a very tender piece of meat. So we're actually just going to saute that real quickly right before we serve it. Now that we've got the loin off, I'm actually going to clean it up a little bit and get some of the silver skin right here off so that it's nice and tender. And now I'm just going to take the other loin off of the other side. Alright, well now that we've got the rabbit broken down into our different cuts, before we start to braise, I've also chopped up all of the bones, and I'm going to roast those along with a little bit of mirepoix and make a nice rich demi-glace. I've heated up a cast iron pan here with a little bit of olive oil in it, and I've taken one onion and cleaned it and cut it in half. I'm going to let it start to caramelize in there to develop some of that roasted flavor. I've also now added the pancetta, and we'll let all of that start to render down before we add our braising liquid. Well, while the pancetta is slowly cooking down over low heat, I've taken the rabbit loins and I put them in a bag with a little bit of apple cider and some sage. Now, if I was at work, I'd use my vacuum machine to seal these sous vide style and be able to marinate them quite quickly. But what I'm going to do is just put this bag in the refrigerator and keep it for the next couple of hours while our rabbit is breaking. Well, you can see how nice that pancetta has cooked down and flavored the oil in there. Now we've also got the onion that is caramelized. So what I've done here is taken the rabbit and tossed it with a little salt and pepper and also a little bit of flour. And the flour is going to help to thicken the sauce. Now I will not be searing these, I'm just going to put them in the pan and we're going to add our braising liquid. Alright, well the first thing we're going to do now that the rabbit is in the pan, we're going to add some white wine and we're going to let all of this reduce and really intensify that flavor. And then we'll add some more of the braising liquid. With the wine almost fully reduced, next going to go in some apple cider, and we're going to add chicken stock, and that's going to almost cover everything up. So what I'm going to do is just add a little bit more of the cider so that we get nice covering of the meat. And once that comes to a boil, we're going to put the cover on and it's going to go into the oven. Now that we've come to a boil, I added a bay leaf and some dried thyme, and I'm going to just add our chestnuts to the braising liquid, and we're going to cover the pot, and we're going to be transferring this into our preheated Alto-Shaam cook and hold. So I've got the oven preheated to 250 degrees. We're going to cook for 90 minutes, and then it's going to hold at 160 degrees inside the oven. Alright, well now that we've got the Le Creuset pot inside the oven, I'm going to close the door to the cook and hold, and I'm just going to push start to let the braising process continue. Now, if we were doing it in the regular oven, we would probably be cooking at 300 degrees for about somewhere between 1 to 2 hours. I'd have to test the meat and then pull it out. The advantage here is that now it's going to just go right into a hold mode when it's done, and I'll be able to adjust any seasonings and be ready for serving when my guests arrive. To go along with the rabbit, we've got some artichokes that we're going to braise. And mixed with these artichokes, there's some onion, sage, a little Meyer lemon juice and the zest from the Meyer lemons, olive oil, and we're going to cover it up with a little bit of prosciutto and then roast it at 400 degrees covered for about an hour. And then I'll take the foil off and just let it roast for a little bit longer to let the prosciutto crispen. Well, as you can see, the artichokes have been roasting now for about an hour and they look beautiful. They're nice and tender, and what I'm going to do is leave them in the oven uncovered to crisp the prosciutto.